All right.
Welcome back. All right.
I'm all right. Are you all right?
We're both all right, man. And
Marine King, man, after that game, he's not so all right.
No, man, he is not all right in the slightest. But you know who's going to be all right? The winner of this game is going to be all right, because the winner of this game, TaeJa versus JYP, will be up 2-0 in their group, and that means they basically just have to win one more game to clinch it, and they'll have 2 chances. So that's a really good situation to be in, and one of these guys is going to be in that situation no matter what.
Our map is TaeJa Alter, a very large map, so we're going to see a macro game most likely. JYP has shown some awesome control in the past. His late game, I think, is a little bit weaker than TaeJa's, but we're just going to have to see how this one plays out. JYP taking a sip of that water. They have some history together. Of course, Slayer's TaeJa taking out JYP 2-0 in this past Code A. So can JYP get his revenge and try to go up to Code S? Let's find out here at the GSL. I am Wolf, and with me is Moltrap. This is the Up and Down matches.
Let's get it, boom, boom, boom. Let's get it, boom, 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 boom. Let's get it, boom, boom, boom. Let's get it, boom, 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 boom.
All right, over here at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, TaeJa Alter, is our Slayer's Terran.
Slayer's TaeJa.
Slayer's TaeJa.
Coming off a win against Marine King.
Formerly Crown Prince. I just realized that's why you made the joke about him out-marining Marine King earlier.
Yep.
Being the prince. And here is his opponent.
TSL JYP.
TSL JYP. TaeJa has a very good record against Protoss, by the way. He's 15-8 in his career, and of course 2 of those wins very recently being against this very player, JYP. Has JYP learned enough to bring it back and beat him here?
We'll have to see. You know, I think TaeJa's definitely the favorite here, but JYP is can do anything. He's got a bunch of tricks up his sleeve. This guy's the kind of guy who might blink Stalker all in.
Yep.
He might do like the 5-gate Genius all in on TaeJa, and in fact TaeJa is going to be doing a 1 barracks expand, and this is actually going to be scouted by JYP because he scouted first. He's going to be able to get in there and see no gas. He's going to be able to do a little bit of probe harassment.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I remember talking about this when I was casting these guys in Code A before, but it was a while ago, so I've forgotten. But these guys actually played again in the Korean I-Cup tournament a few weeks before their Code A match, and TaeJa 2-1 JYP in that match as well. So TaeJa has this guy's number, man. This is like JYP's rival. He has not been looking forward to this match, I bet.
Probably not, but he's going to actually make his transfer to his face.
Huh.
Which, of course, is pretty obvious once the probe sees no gas that it's going to be a command center build. But JYP is actually checking very carefully to make sure that's still going on, and it wasn't a fake. Really nice play by JYP, and JYP actually hasn't taken his second gas. Will we potentially see a 4-gauge?
I wouldn't be surprised on TaeJa Alter.
Ooh, the pylon is going down.
Yeah, looks like we are going to see that, man. And you know, JYP, his versus Terran is actually his worst matchup. He's really good against Protoss. He's very good against Zerg. So, you know, I'm not surprised to see him probably kind of, counting on maybe playing well against Violet and, you know, Trickster, but having a little bit of trouble against Terran, so I'm not surprised to see him doing this strategy. Again, on this map where there's no ramp to hold, so it's harder to defend a 4-gate, but he's actually going to get a Nexus, so we'll forget all that.
Yeah, all the signs pointed to 4-gate, but they just didn't make the gates, and then I was like, alright, well, I guess he's going to make a Nexus. Then he scared away the Stalker that made a Nexus, and TaeJa has to keep that bunker. He's not really sure what's going on. He wasn't able to scout anything, really. He's adding barracks, actually adding 3 barracks right now. No gas is taken yet. I like this style. I like the idea of, if you have good marine control, if you add more barracks to get your gases later, you're very safe, and you can even pressure afterwards. I really like that. In fact, some of that marine micro you can see right now, JYP can have to leave with that Stalker. Not losing any hit points though. Nice control. Probably gonna wait for the shield to recharge. charge and then poke again.
Oh,
Probe's
the probe
gonna
sneaking in
sneak
the
by.
back. Oh, the extra marine is
my
there.
God.
Is he going to micro it?
I cannot believe the probe got it. He sees everything.
Wow. Wow. So he knows exactly what's up now. I mean, he didn't see
one
the
barracks,
fourth
but,
barracks, but he's like, oh, that's a line of barracks.
He knows what's
And,
up. Well, actually,
he saw there's no add-ons also, so he knows that he's going to be producing a lot of Marines right now.
he's making robotics as after scouting that, which is a little bit risky at this time because TaeJa's going to be able to rally Marines to attack this Nexus. Pylon is going to get taken out here. This is going to be very difficult for JYP to hold without good micro. And of course, I was talking earlier about how good his micro is, but when the Marines hit, there's going to be a lot of them, and the reinforcements will be quick. They're at close positions here. 3 warp gates with good stalker control, though, should be enough to micro against unstimmed Marines with no combat shields. But we do see this build a lot, where you see just plain Marines come out with no gases off of 4 barracks.
Yeah, the Marines pushing out now, trying to go up against these Stalkers. Stalkers microing very well. They're going to really soften up these Marines, so there's a ton of them. But no, he's just going to stop there, actually, not going to keep pursuing.
Good control, and if you make mistakes, you lose a Stalker, but otherwise, you can just continue to do this for almost forever. And this is what I was talking about. I mean, it's difficult to hold this with bad micro, but if you have good micro, like JYP is showing, you can continue to poke at those Marines and back up. You have to be very careful, though.
Another command center going up in the back of TaeJa's base. I like that move. You know, he's got a little bit of pressure put on JYP, so he might as well make another base. And even if he doesn't, move out and take that 3rd base yet, he can just use that for extra mules and stuff.
And this Marine control by TaeJa is actually so good that JYP tries to fight. He actually just is going to have to retreat with these Stalkers.
Yeah,
nice scan, kills the Observer as well.
Nice.
Now, the robotic support base finishing up here. Colossi are going to start coming out.
I like the fact that he was holding the top of that little ramp so that if the Stalkers came up the ramp, he would have vision for just a moment longer in order to be able to shoot down at them and save his Marines from just getting kited all the way back to his base. But there is Warp Prism speed being researched, Wolf.
Yeah, are we going to see some Colossus drops? I mean, we saw JYP do some excellent harass, Brood War style Templar drops in this last game, and we may end up seeing something very similar to Reaver drops in StarCraft 2 here. And this is actually a really good reaction, and let me tell you guys why. He knows the starport is a little bit late. Most likely there aren't really going to be any Vikings out to shut down the Warp Prism harass. So he's actually going to be able to do this because he's seen that many Marines. He knows, okay, late starport, I can do this, and I really like this choice. It's risky. It's not an easy choice to make, and it's not going to be easy to micro this, but
yeah.
if he does end up doing this, it's going to be awesome.
The question is, what is he going to be dropping with that Warp Prism? Is he going to be warping in Zealots, do you think? Or is he going to, take a couple Immortals? Sometimes we used to see that a lot more, a couple patches ago, I guess, but people would, take 2 Immortals and drop, drop behind mineral lines or something like that with Immortals. I don't know.
Well, I don't think we're going to see the Colossus drop. I mean, I was talking about that just a minute ago, just actually joking, just comparing it to the Reaver, but it's not comparable to the Reaver, actually.
And there's an Immortal and a couple Zealots.
Yeah, just do a little bit of harassment. Use the Zealots to attack STV is likely the Immortal to attack the depots. And kill a ton of depots very quickly and get out of there. And probably he'll actually just leave it in the corner, and every time that TaeJa moves out, he'll drop it, and then just continue that until the Vikings come out. Speaking of Vikings, there is 1 Viking out. 2 being made right now. He's going to be using those primarily to deal with the Colossi.
Yeah, and I like this. He's pressuring the front a little bit. Well, he's not really pressuring the front, but he's kind of posturing towards the front. And if he can draw those forces to the front, then it'll make the drop in the back a lot more effective, obviously.
I'm kind of scared for JYP. His forces are looking a little bit dwarfed by TaeJa. He's got Vikings on the way. He's got a really good army composition. He's got better upgrades. But this Colossus poke is actually going to kill perhaps this refinery. Does barely keep that alive. Doesn't even start burning.
And there's that drop going in the back. Warping in some additional Zealots to accompany the ones he's got there. He's pressuring the front to keep the army there. Forcing him to split. Colossus doing tons of damage. He needs to micro those a little bit better, though. There he does. The force field's trapping all the forces. Everything gets slaughtered at the front. This single Viking goes down, and it looks like he's not even cleaned up his main. He's forced to bring everything to the front here. Colossus is going to go down now that there's several Vikings, but some decent damage done.
I don't know what to say, man. JYP is just so sick today. But look at this. He's killing all these depots. He's killed so many workers.
Wow.
He killed a lot of the army of TaeJa as well. And he's killing more depots. Targeting down the Marauders, unfortunately, just with one mortal. That's not enough. But now continue to attack the front because he knows the force on the back. Killing more SCVs here, doing a ton of damage with this Colossus.
Wow.
6 SCVs killed with that one Colossus.
Amazing. Nicely done. Yeah, darting in there, using the splash to kill multiple SCVs at once, and just doing tons of damage.
Yeah, 18 workers in total killed.
He just had so much. At first, I was like, all right, well, JYP, he did some damage, but he also lost his army. But then I realized that the whole time that battle at the front was going on, everything was getting killed in the back. And he killed depots, he killed workers with those zealots, and the Immortal back there as well. So nicely done. Another Warp Prism being made, as well as a Dark Shrine. He's like, all right, well, you know what? That Warp Prism did pretty well. Let's try another one.
Yeah, I mean, you invested in the speed upgrade as well. Now, TaeJa has +1. He's got +1 armor on the way, whereas JYP has just started +1 armor. He doesn't have +1 weapons or anything like that. So even though TaeJa lost a lot during that, he stayed solid. He's not in a bad spot by any means. He got his 3rd base up. He's got a very strong army, and now he's actually going to take map control. In just a minute, he's going to move out, start pushing across the map. But the thread of that Warp Prism that you were just talking about is going to be pretty scary. But luckily for
Vikings.
Yeah, TaeJa, he's on top of things. He's got that Viking ready.
And I think it's in a perfect spot too, depending on where he goes with that Warp Prism. But both players just macroing up at this point. They're actually very close in supply. JYP's a little bit behind, but that's not necessarily... Oh, is he going to sneak by? No, he's not. Viking in perfect spot, and that Warp Prism is just going to die. Almost got away with the speed upgrade, but not quite.
Not even enough with the speed upgrade. Just barely not. There has been some discussion about a possible buff to the health for Warp Prism. Maybe seeing that in the future, and that may be why JYP is trying to use Warp Prism so much more recently. I'm sure that's, you know, he's going to be happy about it regardless if that does go through. Now, JYP has added 2 more gates at his 3rd base. His 3rd's up and running. He's had it up for a while. He's trying to power up more Colossi, getting better upgrades, getting Blink. But TaeJa just has this really scary army, and now he's going to be able to take a 4th base whenever he wants, basically, because there's no way JYP can comfortably move out across the map. DT over here, it looks like it is actually spotted. Does have a missile turret up as well. And
is he on move command though? Oh, nope, does catch it. Nice. Good spot there by TaeJa, making sure that DT didn't sneak into his main. And yeah, TaeJa is finally going to start trying to take his 3rd. JYP's had his 3rd up for a while.
JYP has done something really cool on the minimap. You guys can probably see a little bit of dots. JYP has put pylons all over the place, mostly near expansions, but also in some seemingly random areas to catch drops.
Yeah, that's really good. Because you can see they're kind of more around the perimeter, and to avoid being spotted, Terrans will often send their medevac all the way kind of around the side of the map. And so it's a really nice spot there to try and spot that possibility.
Scan goes off there. That observer was so dead, man.
Now, here's the thing. TaeJa has a lot of Vikings. It's really interesting how like the mixture can really work. You need to have enough Vikings to take out the Colossus quickly, but not too many that then you don't have as many Marauders as you need. And so
you have to have a good mix.
You have to have a good mix. And then so that's why we see players switch into Templar tech. Is the thing is because then if you have a bunch of Vikings, they don't do anything against the Templar. So he's kind of trying to mix it up. Both players basically trying to mix it up and keep an even mix of everything. So that's why we're seeing Ghosts and Vikings to counter the Colossus and the Templar.
And you're so limited, and for those of you guys who don't know, some newer StarCraft players, you're limited at 200 supply. So that's why TaeJa has to be very careful with how many units you make. You can't just make more, because when you get to 200 supply, you're not allowed to make any more units. That's the limit. So right now,
and they are both at that limit right now.
10 Vikings, 26 Marines, and 6 Ghosts, coupled with 31 Marauders. Hold that thought. DT is harassing the 3rd base of TaeJa. He's gonna have to
And-
pull those SCVs far, far away.
Yeah, TaeJa's not even going to go back for that, actually.
Oh man,
He's
this
just
is
going to
looking
not
really
deal with
scary
it.
for JYP.
Oh!
Feedback goes
Wow.
off as the snipe does, but this is so many units for TaeJa. I don't think JYP is going to be able to win this fight. EMP goes off, hitting a lot of the units, but not all of them. Zealots way away from the rest of the army. A lot of those can be taken out before the rest of the army can engage. A terrible engagement for JYP. Colossi falling immediately to the bike. You can watch that supply plummet as TaeJa crushes through and may just end the game here.
Where was JYP's army, man? I don't know what just happened there, man. Just so much stuff. Didn't get a single storm. Finally gets a couple good storms off. Nicely done, but he just didn't have the Templar. And yeah, as Colossus got caught out of position, TaeJa now pushing into the natural expansion of JYP. JYP 40 supply behind, desperately trying to warp in some Dark Templar. Scan goes off preemptively though. And he's just trying to storm his way back into the game here, but he's pushed up against the wall, man. And actually, whoa, he actually is going to push that back with some storms.
He does push back with the storms, and the DT Warpins were just becoming a little bit too much. The upgrades right now are 2-2 for TaeJa. JYP at just +2 armor, no attack upgrades whatsoever. TaeJa is taking a 4th base, he has a 5th command center. Meanwhile though, JYP is taking his own 4th, he's not mining from it just yet, but he's transferring his SCVs over there.
So, it seemed like JYP didn't have a maxed army there. Like, what was I just confused? Or
what happened was he sent about half of the Zealots forward preemptively, and then they were killed almost instantly.
oh, that's right. That's right. He killed those Zealots beforehand when he was going in with the ghosts and everything.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
So that was a huge blunder.
That's
I think
right.
JYP didn't realize that those weren't just ghosts, that there was a huge whole army behind that. And so he sent the Zealots out to kill the ghosts, and that didn't quite work out. And JYP is actually going to sandwich the army of TaeJa here, at least attempting to, but unfortunately there's just too many units. Dark Templar trying to help hold, and a lot of cannons here as well.
TaeJa says, no, you will not be bred today. Oh, nice EMP on that whole army is going to make them really soft. But some of those Zealots are still in good shape, and those Marauders are all at low health, so he's going to be forced back after all. He actually might have a stim again to escape here.
Yeah, and I gotta say, despite the fact that JYP made a bad engagement, it was a tough spot, he's making the most of it, lasting longer than most Protoss would in this case, but he's constantly trapping TaeJa's army, which is awesome. And TaeJa's army always is on very low hit points. That's why we saw the storms really help him hold in the end, but eventually it's just going to be too much. I think we may be at that point right now.
Yeah, I mean, he held off with storms before, but I don't see any Templar to finish off that low health army this time. He stims in here. He's going to take out the Nexus at the very least. I don't think JYP has anything to hold this. He's trying to throw in DTs, but the scan goes off immediately. And JYP's just desperately trying to warp in units. He's got a ton of warp gates, but no money. And he might just fall right here. TaeJa on the verge of taking a 2-0 situation in this group. And it's going to fall back, though. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm starting to get a little bit low on health on my units. I've done my damage. Actually, never mind. He's going to go back in for it.
Yeah, as soon as the Stalkers went over to chase the Vikings, he decides to drop. Targeting down pylons, gets the Dark Shrine, actually, and picks up, so that means no more DTs for defense. This little harassment is thwarted by the cannons, but even so, more and more units of TaeJa are actually just being completely rallied into the main of JYP, and he's starting to run out of units very quickly. Harassment at the 3rd base as well. He just has no answer for all of these harassments. Even if he storms here, he's lost a ton of probes.
Yeah, he doesn't want to storm there, actually. He might his own probes. Wow, TaeJa now 50 supply ahead. He knows about that 4th base up at the middle left, or middle right, but it doesn't even matter. He's going into the natural again with some new Marauders, I believe. He's stimmed a couple times, though. So they are, well, they're actually doing okay.
You know what? JYP is actually getting himself back into, he's not back even, but he is, if TaeJa keeps just rallying his units across the map, he might actually be able to break back even because he's just winning every engagement.
What he needs to do is just
ridiculous favor.
Sorry about that. Yeah, what he just needs to do is kill that top right base and just macro up another big army and just go in and finish him off.
That's exactly what he needs to do. And he has killed the natural, of course, which isn't really mining at all, so that wasn't too big of a victory, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do, going over to that top right base. And JYP is not going to be able to hold this one.
No, his army's not even anywhere nearby. Targets down the pylon.
Nexus.
Storm goes off. It's going to kill a few Marauders, but he's just going to kill the Nexus and leave. Smart move. And it looks like JYP trying to do a little bit of a counterattack here. but he's only got some Zealots, so yeah, he's going to have to fall back.
He has to keep all of his army together. He can't engage like he did earlier and just have half of his Zealots in a terrible spot because then he'll just lose the game.
Oh, but nope, not going to catch those Zealots after all.
3-3 upgrades for TaeJa versus just the 2-1 upgrades of JYP is really coming into play here as well. And this engagement could be really good for JYP though if he catches this army. In fact, he is going to catch it. He may want to swing the Stalkers forward. He does.
That's a lot of Marauders though. And yeah, no Ghosts in the mix, I don't think, anymore. Here's the thing also, TaeJa, he was really ahead before. He's been ahead kind of economically for a little while now that he's killed the expansion base, what have you, but poor Ghost. He doesn't actually have a ton of SCVs, and he's not really mining at his extra bases right now, so TaeJa's income is actually not that big at the moment. So JYP has caught up in supply over the last few minutes because he's been actually mining at his third, and well, for a short time there at his fourth.
And also, he's just been winning battle after battle because TaeJa ended up making a mistake and just thinking the game was over. And
yeah.
we've seen a lot of this happen. For example, if you guys watch MC versus Phoenix, that's a really good example of this, where the game actually should have ended, but MC just kept attacking, and the defender's advantage eventually won out. But in this case, you know, even though JYP is catching up with supply, he still has lost a lot of Nexi. He's very vulnerable right now. But, you know, he's done the best job I think I've ever seen of coming back in a game of StarCraft 2. This is like the biggest comeback we may have ever seen, ever. If he is able to pull it off, it's going to be...
That was the most hyperbole I've ever heard.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm just countering with hyperbole of my own. A little bit of a storm drop here, not going to do a ton of damage, but you might as well do this harassment. He's like, all right, you killed 3 SCVs, I'll replace it with 5 in the form of a mule. TaeJa is pulling ahead now. He's got those ghosts back in the mix. I think he's recollected. He's like, all right, I got to settle down. I can still win this. I just need to actually play this game and get the right units. Instead of just powering out Marauders and trying to A-move to the win, I'm going to make some ghosts. I'm going to actually micro the next battle.
And TaeJa is not dealt with the Zealots and Dark Temple on the map. Nice feedbacks and kills a ghost. Gets the second one here, losing nothing. Something that TaeJa has not dealt with, as I was trying to say, is there are Dark Templar and Zealots patrolling all the northern bases, so he can't land command centers.
He just, I think, feedback 3 ghosts. More feedbacks going down on those ghosts. They do get some EMPs off, though, but there's going to be some major storms laid on the army. Does he have enough energy for more storms? He does. All those units in low hit points, but if he doesn't storm them to finish them off, they're just going to have so much firepower, they're going to force JYP back farther and farther. JYP now at a 70 supply deficit.
He just had those Nexi down for too long, and he couldn't keep up with TaeJa's army. Despite his awesome micro there, with feedback from those ghosts was incredibly just... That one EMP really changed things, and now JYP's in a tough spot, but even so, TaeJa feels like he needs to go home because his hit points are so low, but he's going to target this Nexus down on his way home.
All right, so TaeJa now has another chance to just do what he needs to do and target that base down. Actually, no, forced an engagement here. All those units are at low health, but again, they just have so much damage so quickly that it doesn't really matter that they're weak if he engages a smaller army.
Yeah, he's just got really good concaves constantly.
He really does need to go home, though. If our observer hits tab, you'll see that almost all those units are in the red right now.
Yeah, when you say red,
or I don't know. I said tab. Did I say tab? I meant alt.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
or did I say alt?
You said tab, but everyone knows what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. Yeah, all of these units are literally like 12 to 20 hit points.
He can't even stim them.
He can't even stim them. And JYP has got half the supply of TaeJa because he doesn't have any mining right now.
Oh, is he going to engage, though? One storm could like finish off his whole army. He needs to be really careful.
Yeah,
EMP is the ghost.
Templar.
And
there are a few storms. One storm goes off. Second storm going off here. Killing a lot of these units, but I think it may be too much.
Not going to be enough.
Yeah, it looks like JYP may finally fall, but TaeJa playing it safe backs up.
Random Vikings. He's like, all right, you're not making Colossus. I'll try and harass with these Vikings, although harassing the gateway is not the most effective thing he could do.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to force some warp ins away from his main army.
And TaeJa has gotten more medevacs out so he can start healing up that army. And basically, once he heals up that army, he can just go win.
Exactly. There's no answer for JYP. Can't even mine enough to get enough money to make a Nexus. That's the situation
Oh, wow.
he's in.
Yeah, he's only got 2 patches left in his third. Lost his
literally
natural
has,
long
like,
ago.
He literally will have 10 extra minerals when he's out of money completely to make a Nexus. And then when he makes a Nexus, he won't be able to make anything else. And that's assuming he doesn't make any units right now, which he's not. But he's only mining from 2 patches, so it's going to take forever. Nope, he made something. Can't make a Nexus now.
Oh.
And that was the DT right there.
And it's actually not going to do any good. Now he's going to start distance mining, but this game is pretty much over. Slayer's TaeJa, he was really on the back foot, man. With JYP, did those early attacks. He did the harassment with the Warp Prism in the back while he was attacking the front. Killed a ton of TaeJa's SCVs. Stopped him from getting a third. I was like, oh man, JYP is going to actually beat TaeJa here. And TaeJa just out-macroing him after that and outplaying him in the big battles. Coming back into the game.
Speaking of big battles, another great engagement by JYP, but there's just not enough. And the fact that TaeJa, if you lose, even if he lost his battle in some crazy, weird way, he would have been able to out-macro and just replace those units, whereas JYP could not. And I think JYP is stuck in that game a little bit out of just spite, being like, well, I'm going to try to tire you out because it's going to affect the rest of your games for the rest of the day. Seriously.
Maybe.
And I mean, the game was way over. He fought back and almost got into a winnable situation because TaeJa just was not playing safely, and then unfortunately it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, so Slayer's TaeJa is currently winning the up and down matches. He is at 2-0. He's the only player at 2-0. Every player has played 2 games thus far, and TaeJa is the only one with the 2-0 situation right now.
I told you guys
you did call it, man. Did call it.
He's definitely one of the best Terrans out there right now, and he always has been. It's just that he wasn't really shown, and that's why he's like, what? Like he gets a code A, goes all the way up, and then goes all the way up again. Makes that noise and everything.
Yeah, it took him a while to get into code A too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of those guys that we saw in the team league, and we're like, whoa, if he gets into code A, he might do pretty good.
Yeah, and then he got into code A and lost to Ganji, but that was a weird series.
That was a really weird series. Ganji just like, he's like, I'm going to make the anti-TaeJa build 3 times.
Yeah, that was really smart play by Ganji.
It was smart.
Go back and watch that
yeah,
series
and I mean, all props to Ganji. I mean, he actually won Code A, so it's not like we're saying, oh, he cheesed his way to victory. He actually beat a lot of good players and did very well in that tournament. So, but yeah, so JYP is going to be at 1-1. And so he's, of course, still in this as well. But that means we have 3 players at 1-1. Violet, Trickster, and JYP are all at 1-1 right now. So it is still anyone's ball game. And the next match is going to be Marine King Prime, currently at 0-2, versus Violet, who's currently at 1-1.
A very important match for Marine King. Even if he wins this one, he most likely will not make it through the group. But he may be able to drag Violet down with him.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the thing is if, like, there's always, at this stage, there's still going to be some situations where Marine King could theoretically get back in with a tiebreaker match or something like that. So that's what he's hoping for. His entire chances to get into Code S hinge on this game. If he loses it, there is 0 chance of him getting in. Let's go ahead and get into the game and find out if Marine King can keep his hopes alive or if Violet can take a 2-1 lead here at the GSL.